I just want to start with a very serious observation that occurred to me at the chair. In the context of the gospel, leprosy, which was both contagious and involved alienation of the poor victim. He was alienated, he was ostracized. People knew it was contagious and they didn't want to get near it. And I'm not agreeing with that, but that's what they did. Today in our lives, there's lots of immoral leprosy, but we deal with it. We get right up on it. We engage it very often to our own demise. We catch the leprosy. And that's why a lot of people are quiet, I think, at times over moral outrages, because they've already taken the leprosy. Do you follow the connection there? We should be startled at times by certain behaviors, and we're not. We should be outraged at times, and we're not. I can only suspect we've been infected by the leprosy. Do you have more leprosy? Okay, I came up with all that at the chair, okay, on the way over, the metaphor. A lot of points today. Holy Family Mass, Health Club, Heaven, then the homily. So there's no Family Mass anymore. Father Simon and I got into a fight over a leftover chicken pot pie. He did kick me. He kicked me in the head, but he failed to remember I have rocks in it. So he broke his foot. Now, none of that is true. But his foot is very seriously injured, and I'd love to give you all a little help here. If you're Father Simon, there's one of Father Simon, and going to Mass right now, at the last Mass count, is about 3,600 of you go to Mass every weekend. That's actually a number, a statistic. About 3,600 people go to Mass every weekend. There's one Father Simon. I'm just going to go out on a limb here. If 3,600 people approach Father Simon and ask him how his foot is doing, he'll kick you with the other foot. So, I'm just asking because you're going to see him around. Be original. Say something different. On a very serious note, I asked you not to ask me about my mom. My mom's having trouble. Thanks for not asking me. And I mean, what I'm saying is, yeah, pray for my mother. There's one of us. There's 3,600 of you. Don't ask Father Simon about his foot. It's serious? I don't listen. I don't even know exactly what's wrong. I know it's serious. I know it involves surgery. And I know it's going to put more pressure on Monsignor. I got a lot of energy, whatever. I'm not retiring. Maybe you wish I was. So just a little hint. When you see him, hey, we're praying for you. How about those Cubs? Anyway, how about the Bulls? How about the Hawks? Don't forget the Hawks. How about the market? Don't forget the Find something upbeat to talk about. Point number 2, Health Club. Walked in the Health Club today. There's a nice, I don't want to call him a prophet, a Jewish fellow named Howard. You might know him. He trains people for marathons. Great guy. If you don't know Howard, you should know Howard. He's a major figure in our little town. So he's having this conversation. I walk in, one fellow shaving. Howard's like, hey, Father, what are you doing here? I go, I got the later Mass. And immediately I went into a homily. I said, I want everything. I do. I want everything. I want to be healthy. I want to be healthy. I want health. And to get health, I got to work out. I got to be disciplined. I stopped for like a month. I was going to Rome, blah, blah, blah. I went on the scale this is just my chemistry. By not working out, I lost 5 pounds. Really, that's just me. Because I eat less. When I lift and I burn more, this is just me, my chemistry. When I burn more, I eat more. So I'm not asking you to try this at home. That's just a small detail in my homily. It wasn't just about going to Mass, but I said, hey, I'm going to Mass later. I'll take care of the vertical. If whatever's going on in your life, look above for the rescue. Look above for the answer. If Father Simon's foot, regardless of what happens to Father Simon, if he's right with the Lord, he'll be fine, we'll be fine. This is the thing I got to focus on. This will take care of itself because of social media and so many distractions. Everybody's running around trying to fix this and with no attention up here. That's a problem. So that was my homily on the way to the swimming pool. Okay, then I thought, so I want everything. Just full disclosure. If you know me, you already know this about me. I want it all. I want a good life on this earth. I want a good reputation. I want to serve a lot. I want to follow in the footsteps of Monsignor Hermes and go to bed real tired and satisfied by work. I want to get tired in the work of the Lord. Now, move a little forward. Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. We're going to be given ashes. My death, I don't have leukemia or cancer as far as I know, but in relationship to eternity, it's kind of imminent. Our death, relatively speaking, in relationship to eternity, is kind of imminent. We say, Father, you might have 30 good years left. Maybe 40, I don't know. But what's 40 in relationship to eternity? So not only do I want it all, I even want more. I want more than everything. I don't know if I'm the only guy in church today. Yes, I want everything, and I want more than everything. I want Him who is beyond everything. And that's why I hopefully do the things that I do to be with Him, to feel His consolation, His satisfaction, His motivation. And when you get this experience, when you have this encounter, one distinguishing feature, it's not like any other kind of energy. It's not like any other kind of motivation. I don't do it for any other reason. How do I know it's God when I'm in these moments? Because I'm not thinking about me. And I'm secondly not thinking about what you think about me. I'm thinking about Him. And am I pleasing Him? Because I want to go to heaven. And the ashes remind us, it's coming to an end, folks. And if you staked out your claim and made this your kingdom, and I'm not going to give you a harder time than you already have. I'm not going to say shame on you, but it's unfortunate you sold out for such few shekels when you could have held your position and went for the longer prize, which is life everlasting. Okay, homily. The call, the context, and the consequence. The call. The leprosy would clearly have moved this young man to a divine solution. There was nothing known at the time to cure leprosy. There was nothing known. I can only assume. I don't know the whole story. Did he hear about Jesus? Did someone tell him a story about Jesus? We pick up the story where a guy with no other possible solution. Every earthly solution has failed this man. He heard about Jesus, he sees Jesus, he hears Jesus, he approaches Jesus. Whether, and here's a nice distinction for you, whether it's out of an act of desperation, this is my last possible solution, or it was an act of filial devotion. For example, coming to Mass. I would hope you came here because you wanted to. A 6th grader asked me the other day, smart kid, Father, what if I don't want to go? That's a great question. I think you get more merit if you don't want to go and actually go. We can think about that. I see Jeff furrowing his brows. I guess the idea would be marriage. If you're in a marriage and your spouse is really upsetting you, and yet you continue to forgive, you continue to be patient, you continue to be loving, I think that person gets more merit than the spouse who says, oh, I got a dream spouse here. It's easy to love you. You follow? So however you got here, you got here. Whether it became because your mom pulled you here, now you're here. The question becomes, what are you going to do while you're here? So I don't poo-poo. Okay, so can I say that? I don't push down desperation faith. Sometimes that's all they got. People in jail, drug addicts, alcoholics at wit's end, depressed people, people who PTSD, people who lost a loved one, people who are unemployed, people in the cold. They got nothing else. So I'm not going to give them a hard time because they were at the end of their rope. It's a bad word. Their backs were against the wall. They were close to thinking about the rope, and they went to the Lord. Good for them. Good for them. Hopefully we don't have to go that far to get to the Lord. So the leper gets to Jesus. What's fascinating about Jesus? I continue to be totally fascinated by Jesus for so many reasons. But here's another big one. The leper is desperate to come into contact with Jesus. When he comes into Jesus, what does he find out? Jesus is desperate to be, I shouldn't use desperate. Jesus is longing to be in contact with him. That's the way we ended the homily last week. As everyone is looking for Jesus, those of us who by his grace get to find him realize he the whole time has been looking for us. And it's very consoling that our God loves and urges us on so beautifully. Okay, so the leprosy. The leprosy could not be a better metaphor than for confession. You probably won't try this at home. if you were, be careful. But don't try this at home, but I'll just tell you what I'm thinking. But don't try it at home. Tell those you love, say, listen, I'll give you 5 minutes. And I won't say a word. Tell me what my faults are. Don't try this at home. We might have to call the police. But a lot of times we're absolutely ignorant of how we affect other people, or what our glaring problems or sins may be. Our spouse knows exactly what they are. Our parents know exactly what they are. You know, it reminds me of that joke of the woman who came to confession, and she just laid her husband out. My husband does this, and my husband does that, and blah, on and on and on. So she leaves, a man comes in. I said, excuse me, sir, was that your wife? He said, yes, it was. I said, in that case, your sins are forgiven. So the call, we hear the call. It's always in a context. You know, another great harm, again, I'm fine with desperation faith, A. I'm fine with it. B, the burning bush is a problem for me. The burning bush experience, the mountaintop high experience, getting teenagers sometimes so juiced up on jazz that God is an emotional experience. I got a problem with that. Because most often it doesn't happen that way. Most often Christians who practice don't have a near-death experience. Most often Christians who practice do not see God. Most often Christians who practice do not hear voices from the dead, even though we believe they're alive. No, it's in the context of your work. It's in the context of your marriage. You wouldn't try this at home. Asking someone you love, what do you think my faults are? Besides my obvious narcissism and just blatant pride. Let's just start with those two. Oh, we're talking about me, sorry. Back to you. Now, besides that one, if I asked you to sit down with a coworker and come up with 5 reasons you don't like your boss, you'd be quick about it. And you probably do it already. You probably do it already, I suspect. Find out in the context of your work, where is God calling you? For one, if you're not going to fix the boss's problems, stop trashing him or her. In your marriage, what did I do this week to make my marriage more strong? What did I do this marriage what did I do this week to make my marriage more vibrant, more lively? As a kid, sorry, a lot of things have changed. I don't know how this translates. How did I please my mom this week? I don't know if this translates. Some educator better tell me after Mass, because I'm on a different page. Did your father think well of you this week? Because I learned this as a kid. No matter what I arrive at in life, if my mother thinks I'm a disappointment, I got news for you. I'm a disappointment. I don't care what my peers say about me. I don't care what Wall Street says about me. What does my mother think? And small tangent, because of the loss of family, patriotism, some of those community building relationships, the scouts. No wonder why young people have gender and other identity issues. It's not a surprise why. They've been ripped out of their natural environments of identity. Of course they're confused. Of course they're confused. And I don't think anyone should have a problem with this. Before I start focusing on some appetite, some concentrated innermost desire, why don't I first accept the fact that all of us share the same inheritance and the same identity as children of a loving Father? If anyone who's going through these crises would go to point 1 first, I suspect some aspect of point 2 would either, in all of it, or in some cases, be diminished. If I know who I am, I would probably have less of an identity crisis. If I'm on a psychiatrist's couch, which has happened, who are you? I'm the son of Frank and Helen. My brothers are Frank, John, James, and Jeff. I'm an American. I'm a priest. I'm a Christian. I live with Father Simon. That's who I live in Crystal Lake. I support the military. I'm a cop's son. That's who I am. This other business, I don't even know how it comes up. I think it comes up because we missed our first and foremost identity. Back to context. Wow, what a move. Where are you in life? God is probably not calling any. Maybe there's one young person at Mass this morning. Maybe two, maybe four that are called to be missionaries. To absolutely give up everything, go to a foreign country and serve the missions as a priest or a nun or a lay missionary. But for most of us, it's living our normal lives, just more accessible to God and His ways. Point number 3, conclusion. Ash Wednesday's coming. And I'm sorry, that's what happens when I work out. For all the priests and parents and CCD teachers who for the last 50 years have said, well, it's Ash Wednesday, you really don't have to give anything up. Who told them that? Wasn't me. Wasn't the Pope. I understand good intentions when I hear them. Blah! Bah humbug. Gifts. You know what that's like saying, hey, I really love you. But it's an abstract kind of love. It has no real basis in tangible, concrete reality. And you can reciprocate in a very abstract, non-committal, non-concrete way. What kind of love is that? Love is concrete. Love is particular. Giving something up. Something. Father, give us one example. Technology. Lessen the time of your technology. I just heard this. You can correct me after Mass. The average person, the average person looks at their cell phone. Ready for this? Now, this is the young kids. It's the middle number. 150 times. I got to bet the young kid 4 or 5 times the amount. Do the math. 6. You're telling me that my son or daughter looks at their cell phone 600 separate times in the 18 hours that they're awake. I think that's what they're telling us. Looks at. I didn't say how much time they spent on it. How about reducing the time in our families we spend on technology across the board? And if you work, what a beautiful excuse. Hey, boss, I don't know if I can get a pass on this or not. But here's the deal. My goofy priest, he went swimming, he had too much energy. He's giving me a hard time now on this energy business. Any chance I could stop looking at my cell phone after 6 p.m. and pick it back up in the morning? Would you even try it? Hey, there was a guy on TV, one of those Google people. This shocked me. And I don't know if you ever heard this. This is kind of scary. I got to get back to the homily. But this is, I would spend the rest of my life, if God called me in this context, to put technology in its proper context. Because clearly it's running us amok. The overuse of technology. Someone just told me, a Google executive who left said this: when your kid's on the screen interfacing with whatever, there's 3 to 4 engineers think about this, on the other side of the screen, figuring out ways to keep your kid engaged with ongoing hits, likes, and think, if that's true, there's 3 or 4 engineers, not at the same time. No, they're following algorithms. They're following what your kids like. So now what do? Next time the kid logs in, boom, this shows up. How do they know that? They're engineers. They're like accountants in the engineer world. These are smart people. Let's move on. What's the conclusion? Conclusion is, last line, and it always applies, is conversion. Ongoing conversion. Do you see what the leper did? I've known this line for 30 years of my life, and I thank you, Lord, and my guardian angel, and whoever told me this. When Jesus told the leper, not the animal leper, the guy with leprosy, go show yourself to the priest. What I heard 30 years ago, and I remembered and I'll never forget, would you please be more vulnerable in your confessions? Show yourself to the priest. Show him your leprosy. Stop looking for a gold medal or a cookie or a star. We all got stuff. Show yourself to the priest. Father Simon Monsignor, I never ratted any of you out. No one knows a priest who ratted someone out from what they said in confession. The only other conclusion I can draw, is that a lot of people are unself-aware. They don't know what their faults are. They don't know they're full of pride. They don't look at a bloody crucifix and say, Lord, where have I sinned today? Where have I sinned this week? Conversion almost always involves confession, detachment, fessing up, taking responsibility. It's Lent on Wednesday. That's how we roll. I couldn't be a priest without it. Whatever mental health I have, much of it has come as a result of going to confession, to not carrying around guilt, to not carrying around past disappointments or unresolved hopes or resentments. You know, I don't know if you know that about me, but it's true. I got a lot of problems. That ain't one of them. Because I go, and it heals, and it's freeing. Show yourself to the priest. And finally, conversion involves confession, and of course, prayer. Deeper prayer. We find God in prayer. And here's the difference now. Here's the difference. When you pray, may you please exit prayer, or one of the last things you say when you pray should be, according to your will, O God. Do I want Father Simon to have, again, he doesn't have leukemia, and a lot of you got cancer, and so it's serious. It's serious for Father Simon. He'll be fine. It ain't leukemia, as long as he has a good doctor and all goes well. So I ask God, fix Father Simon. Well, I wish he'd fix some other ways too, but it's not going to happen. No, fix Father Simon. But I end with, according to your will. According to your will. Because maybe God's got something for us in Father Simon's injury. Maybe there's something larger going on in the context of my suffering, or my unemployment, or my marriage trouble, or my kids acting up. Maybe there's a larger message. Maybe there's a deeper meaning. But am I vulnerable enough? Am I open enough to hear it, to feel it, to try to ask God to help me understand it? So when you pray, always end with, I seek to do God's will, and according to it, let it be done.